everyone. We are here for another episode of Conversations with I Follow the Leader. This is our first one for the new year. So, welcome. Happy 2022, everyone. And this is episode 20. So, first one of the new year, episode 20. And I am so excited for you all to meet Dionne McGee. She is a powerhouse, as you can tell from the title of this conversation, Finding Your Roar. And so excited. We are going to be on for 25 minutes. And so I want to introduce Dionne and get her on here. She is the president and CEO of DG McGee Enterprises. And in Dionne's book, Finding Your Roar, she shares her own struggles and triumphs as a corporate executive and how she found the courage to speak up. Today, we're going to discuss the unique experiences that women in the workplace often experience and what has driven her to be a courageous leader. After, we'll also just share more about her, Finding Your Roar, the coaching program, Roar University, and we'll talk a little bit today about what does Roar stand for. So without further ado, welcome, Dionne. Thank you so much for being here today.
Good morning. I'm excited to be here. Thank you for the invitation.
Of course. And so I would love, a lot of the audience may not know you. Can you just tell us a little more about you and your business and the great work you're doing?
Awesome. Surely, great question. I absolutely will be glad to. About me, I'll give you the skinny. The skinny is I've spent 25 years of my career in corporate America and just got tired of the politics, the lack thereof, diversity, equity, and inclusion. Um, the short of it is I've spent my whole career working in male dominated industries, but the last 10 years of my career I found myself working in a place that was not as diverse, equitable, inclusive as it should have been. 4,000 employees, less than 10% minorities, and you're looking at the only African American female sitting in the executive suite. So when I share that story, I tell people you don't have to be a stats major to know that something was wrong with those numbers, right? So, with that being said, I'm also a woman of faith. I got the nudge and the push to write this book, and my book talks about the challenges, the struggles of being that minority woman trying to get a seat in the executive suite and finally getting it, and then realizing that's not really where I want to be. That's more. There's more work for me to do outside, and that is where DG McGee Enterprises came from. We have our own project management firm where we create customized programming for those that need career development assistance, entrepreneurial development. I am both of those people. As I said, I spent 25 years of my career in the workforce and then turned entrepreneur. So those are sweet spots, and the passion behind it is for women to find their roar. And we'll talk about what that means so they can do those same things.
Thank you so much. And I just want to applaud you because I've met so many women and know so many women who want to make a shift
Yeah.
and are unsure, how do I do this? Why do I do this? And so really appreciate you sharing a little bit, and we'll talk more about that journey. But why don't you go ahead and tell us ROAR, the acronym for those watching, what is to ROAR?
Roar means to be relentless, optimistic, ambitious, and results driven. And I'm not even gonna say period. I'm gonna say exclamation, exclamation. And we got to that place because I really had to sit down and look at how did I go through what I went through for those 25 years. How did I leave that space to a faith walk, the unknown factor, and then create this business? It had to be all four of those principles.
That's great. And I would love to know from you, because a lot of people, unfortunately, are in this situation right now. If you are in the organization that is not valuing
Mm,
DEI, where the numbers aren't increasing as the demographics, as we know, shift in the United States drastically, what advice do you have for someone who's in this situation potentially right now?
Right now, it's a different time. Yeah, I mean, the climate is high. Before it used to be, just the buzzword, right? As far as diversity, equity, and inclusion, it was. Let's check the box. Let's have a conference and say that we're doing something to say we did something. No, no, we need action. We need results. It is in the numbers, right? So if you're not seeing the change that you need to see, I'm telling you from experience, company culture is real, and it takes more than one person to change company culture. I was one woman trying to change a culture of 4,000, right? So it very difficult task, right? And there weren't any, resources available to assist me. So I sat in my office and I simply said, is this really what you want for the rest of your career? So I had to challenge myself, right? Is this really where you need to be? Because sometimes we can be so comfortable being uncomfortable, if that makes sense. And that's where I was. I had a great job, I had a great salary. However, I was miserable. And at the end of the day, what's more important? My peace of mind, my sanity, loving what I do, loving what we all do and who we do it with is most important. So sometimes I'm gonna tell you exactly what I did. I sat to my desk, and I did my pros and cons. Okay. And I looked at that list, and one side outweighed the other, and I was like, "Girl, gather your things." And I packed. I literally packed up. I called my friends from the finance department. They came. They helped me pack my. I didn't know where I was going. Okay, I just knew I couldn't do that anymore. So have the conversation, but if you find that the conversation is falling on deaf ears with your leadership team, with HR, then you then have to decide to do something different. That is not the only opportunity out there, even though you feel like it is. All hope is lost. Who's going to hire me? I've been here for 15 years. I'm not going to leave. No, sometimes you got to leave. Sometimes you got to leave. And this is what I used to tell my VP: if I can't grow, I got to go. That was
That- That's powerful. That's powerful. If I can't grow, I have to go. And
that's it.
I love the advice you gave, right? You don't just leave, you try to have the
Right,
conversations.
right.
But what I also made a note of is one, can't do it alone. And I think that's so important. You can't do it alone. And also, even we have so many change agents who aren't in leadership who are really trying to make the change. But if leadership does not affirm it's a strategic priority, there's nothing that can be done if the top is not on board. So
Right.
appreciate you just sharing your candor, your story with us
Yeah.
of, you were one of those people who said, I can't do this anymore. And I think we're seeing, right, with the great resignation, that's happening to so many people every day. And so
Mhm.
I want to encourage those people out there. There are places where culture is valued. There are leaders who are really trying to do it right. And so I'd
Right.
love to know, Dionne, I know you do a lot of coaching and helping with this.
Mhm.
If you're a leader out there, what can a leader do to really get better in this area? What can they do to roar, really get to that results driven place?
One of the things that I would suggest is to listen. A lot of times we get in leadership roles and feel as if we have arrived, and it can't be as bad as you say it is, right? So if someone on your team is addressing a issue constantly, over and over, guess what? It's an issue. It's an issue because it's getting in the way of the work, right? But you really have to listen and hear the heart of that individual, and not just kind of push what they're saying to the side. You need to receive what they're saying, hear what they're saying, and come up with an action plan to assist them. So in my particular situation, my VP just disregarded what I said, because whatever you're dealing with, Dionne, can't be that bad, because you're still winning multi-million-dollar accounts. It's gonna be all right. No, it's not gonna be all right. It's not. And so he heard me, but he didn't hear me. He didn't hear me to the point of action. So action needs to take place, because one of the things from a employee standpoint, even an employee that is a leader, they report to another leader and they need that support
Oh,
from their leader, right? And when you feel like you're not valued or appreciated over time, that does something to you, your work ethic, your mindset, your health, your mental health, all of that. And we have to protect that at all costs. At all costs.
yeah. And I love that because you were in leadership. And like you said, and we had this in the description for the conversation, you were successful.
Right.
Right, right. You
Right.
were a successful leader, top of your game, right?
Right.
If on paper, but we have to realize that just because on paper you may be getting paid or have a certain title, that sense of belonging and
Right.
feeling valued is everything for an employee.
Exactly. It's powerful.
Wow, thank you. And I know you work a lot with women. What are some of the things that you're seeing that a lot of women out there are currently struggling with?
Wow. So, a couple of things from a career development standpoint, they're struggling with the lack thereof diversity, equity, and inclusion. They are struggling with growth in their careers. I have a lot of clients that say, "Hey, I'm the admin, but I want to grow and I want to scale my career. How do I begin to do that?" Matter of fact, I had one. I did a session for Dale not too long ago, and one of the ladies said to me, she said, "Miss McGee, can I ask you a question?" I said, "Sure." This is after the session is over, and she says, "I am 30 days shy of retirement." I said, "Well, congratulations." So she says, "Yeah, but where were you 20 years ago?" I said, "Ma'am," she said, "Where were I needed to know everything you just said 20 some years ago. I would not have been the admin for my entire career, right?" Because my thing is from a growth and scalability standpoint, we have a issue with wealth when we talk about minorities, right? We talk about having an opportunity, and we come from a place where it's get a job and keep the job, keep your head down, don't ruffle any feathers, you have good benefits, and you stay in said job for 25, 30 years, and right. So, but I want to let everyone know that admin money is different from VP money. Okay. So I want everyone to go into an opportunity with the mindset that you're going to be the president. Regardless of whether you're the president or not, I want you to learn everything that you possibly can so that you can, and your money will also follow you that way accordingly, right? Other issue is with the great resignation, a lot of women are coming into this entrepreneurial world voluntarily or involuntarily, right? And I have a tax ID. I have registered my business with the Secretary of State. Now what? Help me, right? Right. So that's that I'm seeing a lot of that where people are, getting these starting these businesses and they're burning out because they don't know the steps for their business to be successful. They don't know the steps to get a opportunity and that career be successful. One of my other things that I have issues with is and clients, students graduating from college, going into the workforce, they have no idea of the lack thereof diversity, equity, inclusion. They don't know that they may not be received well now because they have a bachelor's or a master's degree. They don't know that Bob is not going to like them just because they are now the new person on the team. They don't teach you that in college, right? So those are the things that those are the things that I hear constantly over and over again.
That's great and really appreciate that. And it's so true is that we're not really set up to enter the workplace and to be that unique individual
Right.
or one of those lower statistics and not in the majority. And I love that because we have to really change what leadership means, right? That is why I Follow the Leader was started is in schools we're mostly taught the white male perspective of leadership. And
Correct.
so if you are not a white male, how are you going to make it? And as we know, like I said, the demographics keep shifting. By 2050, it'll be the first time in anyone who's watching their lifetime that there's not a racial majority in the United States.
Right.
And so, are we actually preparing students, leaders, HR leaders for this shift. And yeah, I see you saying no. I would say no. How can people start to prepare? Because the shift has already started happening. So how do we prepare as leaders for what's already occurring in our culture, in the US, globally?
The what I would say to that is education is key, right? We need to be lifelong learners to make sure that we are learning from a reading standpoint, from a conference standpoint, from a coaching standpoint, and it is not our responsibility to teach and train others on what growth looks like from a minority standpoint. I even had a white male say to me, in corporate America, how did you get here? I was like, I promise you. And reason he asked me is because I was sitting to the table. We were in a meeting, we're sitting to the table, and as you can see, I'm vocal, right? Speakers are vocal. And so it wasn't, you're not gonna check the box and say that I'm at this table just to say that I'm at the table. I have something to say, and what I have to say is of value, right? So based on what we have previously seen and known, that is how we were supposed to grow in our career. So when you get a vocal person at the table that is minority, it's like, oh my god, right? Oh my god. And then you're labeled the ABW, which I love, the angry black woman. Gotta love that, right? But from a leadership standpoint, this thing is shifting, and it is shifting right before our very eyes. And corporate America needs to be prepared for the shift because it is going to change, whether they want it to change or not. It is happening, right? We see a lot of change in leadership now from a diversity standpoint, from an inclusion standpoint, from a standpoint of equity. Let's do what is right, fair, and just. That's all we're asking. And to me, I just honestly think that makes great sense. From
The very
it's a
logical,
no
yes.
brainer, right?
And I love it because you talked about that you are vocal, you were willing to speak up.
Right.
But for those, Dionne, her book Finding Your Roar, amazing. And in your book summary, you really say this book is for those who may not also feel comfortable yet, right?
Right.
Have speaking out. And so I'm just going to read this. Um, Every woman in the workplace has been there, the room where she is talked over, ignored, mansplained, and misunderstood, if she has the courage to speak up at all.
Hmm.
And so I would love to know from you, for those who haven't found their roar yet
Hmm.
and they're still scared to speak up, what advice do you have for those people who want to speak up, who want to talk more, who want their voice to be heard, and are scared right now to do so?
Wow, great question. So I just, when I do my speaking and training, I always have the mindset that there are three types of people in every session, and that is the kitty cat. It's transformational leadership. You come from a kitty cat to the lion in the zoo to the lion in the jungle. Have I always been a roaring lion? Absolutely not, right? Absolutely not. But it comes a time and a place where you get fed up, and one person can only take so much, right? So I went through that same stage, the kitty cat, just saying, hey, I don't really want to deal with this. This is not fair, not acknowledging the issue, right? And then we go from there to the lion in the zoo. The lion in the zoo knows full well that he or she is a lion, but you feel trapped, you feel caged, and you're at the point where it's the breaking point and something has to change. The lion in the zoo is waiting on someone to bring him or her a steak, right? The difference in the lion in the jungle would eat by any means necessary. They're going to get the steak and they are going to teach. So the legacy comes from the lion in the jungle, where we teach those that come behind us, whether it's your kids, your nieces, your nephews, whether you have a mentee. It is more mindset than anything else. At what point do you get tired of dealing with what it is that you have dealt with for so long, to the point that you have to speak up and say something? And if what you're saying falls on deaf ears, then just write a book about it. Look. Oh, I can't.
Write a book about it, share your experience,
Right, right.
encourage others. And I just want to commend you because a book is something that's legacy, right? So we
Right,
talked
right,
earlier, you talked earlier about being able to transition your mindset from you have to stay in a certain place in a certain situation. And so for you to go to one level of success that a lot of people, right, strive for, but then really I think now stepping into your purpose, having this book really sharing, and I love this. Someone just shared in the comments, just write a book
I
about it.
can
I
bring up,
love
thank
that.
you.
And yes, it's right, share your story,
Right,
right? Finding your roar means you share your story. And I also love that you talked about helping others,
right,
helping the next generation, because I think a lot of us, we may not have had that help that, like you talked about, coming out of school knowing exactly what to do, or who do
right.
I befriend, who can be a mentor for me, right? If no one looks like me, who do I turn to? So would love to know, for women out there, and obviously your book is a great resource, and we're going to share that in the comments, the
Okay.
direct link. But if a woman is, or even someone who's just a minority, or someone who's in the other categories, and they're really looking for a mentor and aren't sure where to go, what would you recommend for them?
I would recommend two paths. One, the first thing you want to do when it comes to mentorship or sponsorship is to look at what leadership looks like in your company. If you don't see anyone that looks like you, that's your first red flag, right? That's number one. um and we can have the mindset, well, I'm gonna go in here and change things. Yeah, you can go and make a little noise, but it's really gonna change a lot, right? But look for those that are genuine, that have a heart for growth and scalability and helping others, because when you come into an organization green, you want to partner with someone that has been there for a while, that has the same mindset as you have as far as growing in your career. And it does not have to be um the same sex. It could be a male. It could be a male. That it doesn't matter, as long as you are on the same path and you see them in a place of leadership where they can really help you, and vice versa, you can help them as well, because at the end of the day, you want to give them something to say in a room that you're absent from. And that's one of the things that I say is powerful. You haven't really done work until people can call your name in a room that you're not even in. So when it says, hey, the XYZ project is about to come, and they say, well, you know what, I think Antonetta would be a great. Antonetta's not even in the room. Antonetta can lead that project, her and her team, blah, blah, blah. That's how you know your work ethic is solid and you are there making a roaring difference, if you will. Other track is sometimes your mentor or coach or sponsor needs to be outside the four walls of the workplace. Sometimes you can't find them inside, but you want to make sure that that person has the same path. So I honestly had two. I had one in the workplace. I had one outside of the workplace. My mentor's name was Willette. She worked for Duke Energy and she was a VP. That's the path that I was on, right? So some of the things I said to her, she was like, "Girl, what they doing now?" Right? Like, I've been through that. I've seen it. This is what you do. You do this, you do that, right? You need that. And then sometimes you need it from someone that's not in the business as well as those that are in the business. So if you can't find your mentor inside, look outside. And if you can have one inside and outside, that would be great. But I recommend everyone having a mentor or a sponsor of some sort to help you grow and scale in your careers.
Yeah, love it. And I'm just going to show this comment like, oh, we are preaching on Wednesdays, a roaring difference. I had to showcase that
I
because
love it.
I think that's so great. And I
Thank
love,
you.
right, your book, the concept
Yeah,
to roar. What does it mean to roar? And I love it because we're really not taught to roar, right?
right.
And so would love to know from you. You talked a little bit about it, really starting as this possible kitten and growing into the lion, but would love to know from you, um how did you come up with the concept, and really how can we all roar, right? How can we take that into 2022?
Awesome. The concept, honestly, I can let me tell you this. It took 18 months to write this book. And does it take 18 months to write a book? Absolutely, it does not. It took me 18 months.
Hey,
It doesn't. I mean, you can write a book in 90 days, like really. However, here's the thing: when you're writing a book, depending on how personal it is and how in depth you are getting and telling your story, you regurgitate those situations. And your mind cannot determine whether it is currently happening now or whether it happened last year. Okay. So as you are writing and putting pen to paper, you are going through that situation yet again, and it is painful. So there are days that I walked away from my computer because I didn't want to relive some of the things that I went through in corporate America. It would be a day that I can't do it today. I'm not writing anything. I don't want to think about it.
yeah,
What have you, right? So it turned into 18 months. However, when it comes to, how do we get to that place? I just actually sat down and looked at my whole entire career and realized I cannot be this kitten, this kitty cat. And I was raised by three strong women. That would be my grandmother, my mother, and my aunt, right? And we know what that's like. So I watched their work ethic. They had a strong work ethic, and I knew that I had big shoes to fill. So my work ethic has always been strong, and I wanted us to get to a space where we can find success. We can own our own careers. We can own what it is that we need for growth and scalability. So if you're in a place you don't want to be in a place, get up from the table. As Tyler says, go create your own table and invite some other people to come sit to the table with you. So all of that, putting all that together, that is the mindset of a lion, right? We have to, by all means and any means necessary, do what we have to do to survive. Not only survive, to love what we're doing. I said, I'm tired of doing what it is that people are hiring me to do. I want to do what I'm passionate about. I want to do what wakes me up in the morning without an alarm clock. That's the mindset of a lion is to also create that legacy. So I have two children who have the entrepreneurial spirit. That too is the mindset of a lion. So that is where the whole roar mantra came from. I can't take credit for the book cover. It was really my daughter's idea. She was like, "Ma, you remember Face Off?" I was like, "Yeah, I do." So we already had the lion thing going, right? So she was like, "What if we can do half of your face and half of a lion?" I said, "That would be awesome." And the rest is history. So for those of you that have millennials out there, listen to them. They got some good ideas. Okay, they got some good ideas. But honestly, I want everyone that I encounter to be relentless, optimistic, ambitious, and results driven in whatever it is that you want to do, whether it is in the four walls of the workplace or whether it's entrepreneurship or whether it's both, because you can still be in the workplace and have a business. There's no rules to this. You can
I love.
yeah, you can absolutely do that. And
Yes,
truth be
yes.
told, that's safe right now. If you don't have a business, you need to be thinking of something. Okay.
Exactly, exactly. I love
Yeah.
it. Well, I am so appreciative of you being here. Please let us know, how can people watching or listening, how can they stay in touch with you? Again, we're going to directly link Dionne's book. I have it. It is amazing. Please check it out. Being able to have someone, and we have to acknowledge this. Dionne, like she said, shared her personal
Yeah.
story, right? Personal trauma. And that's also something to acknowledge, that when we have someone come, this is why, right? We pay people for their work, because this was trauma. This wasn't some just exciting, a corporate experience, right?
Yeah.
And so we have to acknowledge that, where you all are today, unfortunately, also was due to trauma. And so just so excited for you. It's been great to get to know you. And so, how can we stay connected with you?
Stay connected via at DG McGee Motivates. My team has me all over the place except for TikTok. You will not find me on TikTok. I have not advanced. I have not advanced to TikTok. So that is Instagram, Facebook. You can find some videos on YouTube as well. And I spend more time on LinkedIn than I do anywhere else because that's majority of where my clients are. So LinkedIn is a great spot. But I love what it is that we're doing, and I just honestly want to thank you for the opportunity.
Of course. Thank you so much for coming. Such an inspiration for current and future leaders, and just really appreciate you. We have some more comments in the chat. So thank you everyone just for coming, for being here. And please feel free to connect with Dionne offline. Like she said,
Please,
LinkedIn, connect with her on
please do.
LinkedIn, follow her, stay connected. She puts out amazing content.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. I really appreciate you all for being here today. This was episode 20 of Conversations with I Follow the Leader, Finding Your Roar. I am going to post right after this, show you all the amazing book, link the book. Thank you for everyone who is watching and for engaging in the comments. We have a lot of people who were tuning in. Thank you. Be sure to thank Dionne for her time today. We really appreciate her. And for those who are enjoying the Conversations Where I Follow the Leader series, I will see you back again next week. We will be doing episode 21. And this, when we talk about burnout and experiences, this conversation is all about burnout. So with Dr. Shelley Bowmick, and she unfortunately was standing on a train platform and thought about jumping, and then changed her life. And so this is happening to a lot of women, having these experiences in these professional spaces, and needing to find your own career, find your own space. And so want to encourage you. Thank you again, Dionne, and we will see you